And we're going to see that we can continue building the house of the Lord. Then Darius the king, made a decree, and search was made in the house of the rolls, where the treasures were laid up in Babylon, and there was found at Achmetha in the palace that is in the province of Medes a roll, and therein was a record thus written: in the first year of Cyrus, king, the same Cyrus, the king made a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the house be builded, the place where they offered sacrifices, and let the foundations thereof be strongly laid. The height thereof 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 3 cubits, with 3 rows of great stones and a row of new timber. Let the expenses be given out of the king's house, and also let the golden and silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple which is at Jerusalem, and brought unto Babylon, be restored and brought again unto the temple which is at Jerusalem, every one to his place, and place them in the house of God. So here's the decree, and we have already heard it. Therefore, Tanai, governor beyond the river, which is west of the river, Shethar-Bonsai, and other companions of the Apocryphites, which are beyond the river, be ye far from thence. Let the work of this house alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build this house of God in his place. He's basically saying, you know what? You complained about it. Your complaint was heard. Everything stopped, but we've looked into it, and really you have no case. So leave him alone, or you'll be on our bad side, not theirs, not just theirs. Moreover, I make a decree, what ye shall do to the elders of these Jews for the building of the house of God, that the king's goods, even of tribute beyond the river, wherewith expenses be given unto these men, that they may not be hindered. So basically, even pay them, it sounds like, and that which they have need of, both young bullocks, rams, lambs, for burnt offerings, of God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the appointment of the priests which are at Jerusalem, let it be given to them day by day, without fail. Now, the first time I read this earlier, I was seeing this as things coming out of Darius, but remember, he was just speaking to those that opposed the work and had written in. But now he's saying, well, actually, you guys should be helping him out. You might not be able to help build the wall or anything, but you can do these things. And I think in our time, sometimes we feel that there's things that we can't do, and we should also look at what we can do. And I think a good way of looking at that was during COVID, where we couldn't go and meet together, and we couldn't go to the temple, but the Lord's prophet reminded us of things that we could do. We could pray, we could do our genealogy online and get the names and everything like that, and prepare ourselves in our hearts to be ready to go to the temple when we could go. And I think that's an important part of what we should do in our lives, is sometimes we might not be able to do everything we want to do. especially I think when we get older, sometimes we feel more frail. I know that my mother, for instance, can't always make it to church um, at 92, but she does what she can do, and listens where she can listen on um, on the podcasts and things like that, or whatever the broadcast of her meeting they will have for her. These are the things that we can do, and we might not be able to do everything, but we should help out where we can. And this is, I think, is where this is coming from. And I hope that comes across, even if I'm not perfect in the scriptures. Maybe we can learn from the scriptures that that's what we can do. We don't have to be the ones putting the stones on the temple, or going and doing all the work, but we can help out in different ways. We may not be able to go on a mission, but we can contribute to the missionary fund in our wards, that they may offer sacrifices of sweet savors unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king of his sons. Also I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let timber be pulled down. This is quite, a backfire on those that were hindering the temple. Let timber be pulled down from his house, and being set up, let him be hanged thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. Not very pleasant thought, but he's saying, you know what? We're behind him 100%. This is an amazing thing, really. And God hath caused his name to dwell there. Destroy all kings and people that shall put to their hand to the altar, and to destroy this house of God, which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree, let it be done with speed. Isn't that amazing how they wrote this? Because here, Darius is not, he's a king of Assyria. He's not an Israelite, neither was Cyrus. But they had the Spirit of the Lord so much that they were willing to help and do what they can to have the temple completed for them. Whether they were erroneous in some of their thoughts on why they're doing it, that's neither here nor there. The Lord had them help in the way that they could. Then Tenai, the governor on this side of the river, meaning the west side, Shether Bonsai and other companions, according to that which Darius the king had sent, so they did speedily. And the elders of the Jews builded and prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo. And they builded and finished it according to the commandment of God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. It's interesting they put Artaxerxes in there simply because he was the one that thought, well, actually we should stop it, but somehow he was in there too, under that. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which is the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. And if we look here, how was Babel's temple different? The Temple of Zerubbabel was completed around 515, more than 20 years after the first group of exiles returned from Babylon. It was about the same size as Solomon's temple and likely had the similar layout. Many of the sacred items which had been taken from Babylon from Solomon's temple were returned to furnish the new temple. However, the Ark of the Covenant was not among these items, leaving the Holy of Holies empty. When the foundation of the temple was laid, the people rejoiced. However, many of the older generation who could remember the temple of Solomon wept. This sorrow may have been because the new temple would not be as grand as the first. Around 500 years later, Herod the Great rebuilt and enlarged the temple on a grander scale. This was the temple that operated in Jerusalem during the mortal ministry of Jesus Christ. Just to give you an idea where it was, it couldn't have been grander. I mean, this is people who have been misplaced. Where are they going to get the funds and things to make it as grand? And of course, Herod the Great may have rebuilt the temple in a grander way, but is more to aggrandize himself and to have the people supplicated under his rule. But we'll get into that probably next year. And the children of Israel and the priests of the Levites and the rest of the children of the captive kept the dedication of this house of God with joy. I love the fact that they kept it with joy, and offered at the dedication of this house 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for sin offering for all Israel 12 he-goats according to the number of the tribes of Israel. So they do specific things. And if you look at these numbers next, the ones said for Solomon's temple, it's really small. And that's probably a good indication what the difference in the temples were like too. And they set the priests in their divisions and the Levites in their courses for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. So they prepared themselves and did what they were supposed to do. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. And the priests and Levites were purified together. All of them were pure and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity and for the brethren of the priests and for themselves. Now, notice they had on the first month. And back in King Zedekiah, all of a sudden I think I got that wrong. When he did it in the second month, and that was because the Levites weren't ready, the people weren't ready, people had to travel, but these people said, okay, whoever's here, we're going to do it. And the Levites are going to be prepared for that. They've had a chance to prepare because they've been building the temple for some time now. So they got prepared. And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and such as had separated themselves unto them from filthiness of the heathen of the land, to seek the Lord God of Israel, did eat, and kept the feast of the unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord made them joyful. I love the fact that they use that joy and joyful as the word, and turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God of Israel. And that means that he helped them out. And I think is a good point here. The king and the Assyrians did not build the temple, but they helped. If you remember the Samaritans were only willing to help build the temple itself. And if they couldn't do that, actually build the temple themselves, if they couldn't do that, then they didn't do anything, and they hindered the work. Do we sometimes have to, as I mentioned before, do we sometimes have to help strengthen someone so that they can do the work? Is there somebody in the Word whose calling is really difficult, and do we reach out and say, hey, is there anything we can do to help? I think that is a good example of what we can do, and we'll see you tomorrow.